Hello everybody, good evening. For those who don't know, I'm David Glasser. I'm chairman of Ben Uri and have been for 25 and a half years, near enough. And this is an even more important occasion than we normally have because it's about celebrating 110 years of Ben Uri, which is quite remarkable. Very few institutions last 110 years. It's also about celebrating 25 years of what we call the new Ben Uri, where we reposition Ben Uri from being inside the Jewish community, talking to the Jewish community, to being outside the Jewish community in the mainstream of British culture, representing the Jewish community. Very distinct, subtle, but important difference. That was a repositioning that we made quite deliberately because we felt something was fundamentally important, and that was A, there was little value in talking to yourself, and B, if we want to disseminate anything, if we want to share anything, then it's pointless to do that to a small audience when you can actually do it to a large audience. It's just a basic principle of business. You know, if you've got a product, the whole idea of investing in that product is to actually distribute it in the most widest format you can, whether nationally and internationally. And we felt that Ben Uri had a very specific product that was universal. And that reflects Ben Uri's DNA, which was migration. The Jewish community, of which Ben Uri emerged from, is essentially an immigrant community. And although we've been here for a number of hundreds of years, we're essentially still, as some of the figures will show you, very much a minority community. Out of 67 million, there's 250,000 members of the Jewish community here. So the choice was, do we talk about migration and the universality of migration and the experience of migration to ourselves and explain it to ourselves, or do we actually engage with the universality of migration, other migrant communities, and actually engage and talk about that experience? In 2001, there was 4.7 million immigrants. 4.7 million people were born elsewhere than the UK, but living in the UK. And 20 years later, there was 11.1 million. And 3 years after that, in 2024, the best government estimates are that there's 20% of the whole of the British population were not born here. 40% of Londoners were not born here. So when we started in 2001 about talking about the migration and the universality of migration and the immigrant experience, I think most people thought that we were nuts. And yet, today, if you listen to any newscast in any country, migration is right up at the top of the news. So our time has come. Now, we produced 3 catalogues for this exhibition. One reflects highlights of 25 years of deliberate, passionate, I think highly intelligent acquisitions, of which every picture in this show is one. We've had 115 exhibitions in the last 25 years. We toured them to 20 or 30, I can't remember, cities in the UK, and we toured them to 3 continents. And in fact, Ben Uri is, we lend around 100 pictures a year between individual loans and museum loans and exhibitions across the country and abroad. And then the third catalogue is about this exhibition and about the future that I want to announce to you tonight. And that is to extend what we started off in formalizing our academic research in 2018, which has now grown to be over 3,300 different profiles on remarkable, talented individuals from across 100 countries who have made their home here and who have contributed to the great British rich cultural mosaic and visual culture. And we're extending that and it's a logical extension, it's an ambitious extension, to the contribution not just of immigrants to visual culture in Britain, but to society in Britain. Because if you've got 20% of the population across the country and 40% in London, it's time that it was recognised. And we all know, because we're all aware, or socially aware and intelligently aware of the troubles in this country and abroad, in terms of the word immigrant causes such friction, such sensitivity, but also in certain areas of the country, such antagonism and often violence, that if we do not start to bring social integration as a philosophy into our politics and into our education, then we have a rocky road ahead of us. And Ben Uri is perfectly placed to contribute to that. First of all, because of our DNA. Secondly, because we've been doing it for 25 years. Thirdly, because we've been formalised it for the last 8 years. And fourthly, because we have a model, and the model works. And there is a profile from our research unit on every artist in this exhibition, on the tables, downstairs, where you can pick it up and see what actually about the artist, his history, his journey, his bibliography, the exhibitions that he's had, his works are, which collections, and that contributes to people's understanding. Because one of the big worries that we have, particularly with AI, is that it misinforms as regularly as it informs. And that's a big problem. And that's a big problem that the world has today, because it's not fake news. That's easy to deal with. It's misinformation told in a way that's authoritative and believable. And what Ben Uri wants to do is to prove, to demonstrate, to articulate, to validate the truth. And in every area of society, the immigrant contribution is significant, if I put it modestly, significant. And in many areas it's huge. And in the catalogue for this exhibition, you will see we've just given you 10 different people across a whole range of different professions in our society who were immigrants. And yet people don't know. So that's what Ben Uri is about. Tomorrow it's about the contribution, the immigrant contribution to British society. Who knows? We could be another Warburg. Why not? We've done 110 years. Why not another 110 years? But why are we different? Because we prioritize global dissemination through digital means. We prioritize the stories of the artists even over their great art. Because we see so many different images. Think how many images you see in a day. How do you recall one image after another? You go to a museum, you go to Tate, you go to Tyson in Madrid, you see great art. Come to Ben Uri, you see great art. But tomorrow you'll see more great art. On the next day, it's gone. But the story of the artist, how they got here, the dangers, their settling in, their changes, their marital status, all the different aspects of their migration experience, that can stay with you. And these are the stories that we want to educate our children and our students and our adults. So we do things differently. We frame our research within the context of social integration, not just art. We haven't forgotten about art, but we contextualize it differently. And if we succeed, there's just a chance that a kid might not pick up the brick to throw it at a hotel full of refugees, that an adult may not want to set fire to it, that somebody on a bus may not spit and be rude to somebody who's different. We may just have, through Ben Uri, one tiny little centimetre, 1 inch more sensitivity and respect for our fellow human beings. And if Ben Uri can contribute that, it's worth contributing. So I ask you to tell your friends, read our books, take the literature, and understand that that's the future of Ben Uri. And I think it's a worthwhile and really valuable future. And I, as they say in politics, I commend it to the House.